is the Rosetta Stone. It was the key to understanding Egyptian hieroglyphics, and it is one of the most precious and valuable treasures of the British Museum. Okay, this isn't the actual Rosetta Stone that's locked away in an incredibly well-secured cabinet on the other side of the Great Court. This is the replica that they let people touch. And so many people touch it that they have to hand-make a new replica every couple of years.
A stone that helped decode ancient Egypt has now become the center of a new question. Not because it was lost, not because it was damaged, but because an AI system may have noticed something inside the Rosetta Stone that human eyes kept passing over for generations. The strange part is not that the stone had writing on it. Everyone knew that. The strange part is that the writing may have been carrying more than a translation. So what did the AI see inside the world's most famous ancient artifact? Rosetta Stone looks like an artifact already solved, but its surface tells a more complicated record. It carries 3 scripts: 14 surviving hieroglyphic lines at the damaged top, 32 Demotic lines in the middle, and 54 ancient Greek lines at the bottom. Demotic is the most complete Egyptian section, yet the famous hieroglyphics received far more attention for over 200 years. British Museum specialists examined the stone in 2017 using multispectral imaging with infrared and ultraviolet light. The scan found traces of red paint in the hieroglyphic section, along with faint tool marks and inscription details conventional photography had missed. Visual study had treated the surface as familiar, but the stone still held physical marks beyond normal sight. Scientific imaging in 2017 confirmed a simple but important fact. Hidden information exists on the Rosetta Stone as real physical evidence. Some details are too faint for the eye, too shallow for ordinary photos, and too subtle for older methods. Hidden in this case means marks, pigments, and surface features still locked inside the object itself. British Museum records also made the stone more open to modern analysis by releasing a full high-resolution 3D digital scan through its online collection. That gave researchers access to the artifact without standing in front of the glass case. More importantly, it gave AI systems data rich enough to compare depth, shape, pressure, damage, and line structure in ways earlier scholars could not. Demotic's lower level of study, invisible surface features, and the available 3D scan created the exact conditions for an AI discovery. Nothing about this required fantasy or guesswork. The stone already had overlooked physical data, and the middle script already carried unanswered questions. AI simply entered at the point where human inspection had reached its limit. Before looking at what the AI detected, one thing matters first. What can a machine see in ancient writing that 200 years of expert study could still miss? DeepMind's Ithaca project made the AI claim harder to dismiss. In March 2022, a paper in Nature described a neural network trained on 78,000 ancient Greek inscriptions. It restored damaged text, linked inscriptions to geographic regions, and dated them to specific periods. On all 3 tasks, it performed better than expert epigraphers who had spent their careers reading the same kind of material. Dr. Yannis Assel did not come from Egyptology or classical history. He came from machine learning, and that matters because his tool was built to see patterns across thousands of ancient documents at once. A human scholar studies one text, one fragment, one comparison at a time. The machine reads the wider pattern first, and that is where hidden structure can appear. Ancient text analysis changes when scale enters the room. An AI trained on known Demotic inscriptions could compare the Rosetta Stone's middle section against the full body of Ptolemaic administrative Demotic at the same time. No individual researcher can hold that many forms, phrases, and writing habits in working memory. The machine can test whether a line follows the normal pattern or quietly breaks it. Statistical anomalies are the real target. AI looks for features that do not match the expected habits of a script tradition, especially when those differences repeat in a systematic way. In Ithaca, those anomalies helped with dating and attribution beyond conventional methods. A random scratch means little. A repeated pattern in the wrong place means the text may be doing something deliberate. Demotic became the important test because it is the Rosetta Stone's least fully studied script. Scholars such as Dr. John Ray of Cambridge and Dr. Penelope Wilson of Durham have documented its ambiguities. Applying the same AI capability to this section gave the investigation a serious foundation, not a guess. AI's ability was already proven. The harder question was what happened when it was aimed at the Rosetta Stone's demotic text. Standard accounts describe the Rosetta Stone as 3 scripts, 1 decree, and the same message repeated. Egyptologists know the details are not that clean. The demotic version differs from the Greek in systematic ways. Clauses appear in different order, royal titles are handled differently, and priestly authority is emphasized more strongly than in the Greek text written for the Ptolemaic administration. Egyptian priests did not write the demotic section as a careless copy. The differences point to deliberate composition, not random scribal mistakes. The same decree had to speak to 2 worlds at once: the Greek-speaking rulers who controlled the kingdom and the Egyptian literate priestly class that controlled the temples. The middle script carried that tension. Memphis Decree of 196 BC was issued by a council of Egyptian priests, not directly by Ptolemy V. It honored the young king, but it also protected temple privileges. That makes the stone more than a translation tool. It was a political document shaped to serve different audiences while appearing to say the same thing. Traditional scholarship often treated these demotic differences as normal scribal convention. AI compared them against the wider body of Ptolemaic administrative demotic and found something more specific. The variations did not behave like normal writing habits from the period. They repeated in a structured way, making the pattern look planned rather than accidental. AI analysis used the British Museum digital scan and NLP processed demotic text through methods linked to the Ithaca framework. It found that the demotic differences from the Greek were concentrated in specific sections of the inscription. That concentration did not match ordinary scribal behavior, and that is where the hidden code begins to look less like mystery and more like method. Pattern alone was not the strange part. The deeper clue was what those demotic changes consistently did every time they appeared. AI pattern recognition found the key difference in the demotic text. Its variations from the Greek version were not spread evenly across the Rosetta Stone. They gathered around sections about priestly privileges, temple authority, and the king's duties toward the priestly class. In those places, the demotic added more emphasis, more detail, and stronger wording than the Greek version carried. Corpus comparison made the pattern harder to dismiss. In other Ptolemaic administrative demotic documents from the same period, priestly authority sections do not normally show higher variation than the rest of the text. On the Rosetta Stone, they do. The AI marked this rise as anomalous because it looked structured, not like ordinary scribal habit. Multispectral imaging from 2017 gave the finding a physical side. Red paint traces appeared in the hieroglyphic section, and tool marks showed differences in inscription depth. These details suggest the 3 scripts may not have been carved in one simple session. Different timing or different levels of care would fit a process where priests shape the demotic wording with their own priorities. Computational linguistics describes this as a secondary communication layer, not a secret message hidden like a puzzle, but a structured rhetorical pattern inside the demotic section. The wording keeps pushing priestly authority beyond what the plain decree requires. Without AI comparing the text against a wider corpus, that repeated pressure would be easy to miss. Natural language processing applied to the demotic text, using methods similar to Ithaca and the Thesaurus Linguae Egyptiae corpus, showed a clear deviation from expected patterns. The rate and placement of those deviations do not fit scribal convention alone. The pattern is confirmed as unusual, supported as systematic, and still open in meaning. AI had found the structure. The next question was sharper. Did someone design that structure on purpose? Memphis Decree came from an Egyptian priestly council, not from government scribes translating orders for the palace. The priests behind the demotic portion were trained inside a scribal tradition that stretched back thousands of years. Their documents could carry religious meaning, political pressure, and administrative detail at the same time without making every layer obvious to every reader. Ptolemaic Egypt was ruled by a foreign Greek-speaking monarchy with military and political power. Yet that monarchy still needed Egyptian priests for temple control, public legitimacy, and religious approval. This gave the priestly class a clear reason to shape the demotic wording carefully, especially in a script many of their Greek-speaking rulers could not fully read. Ancient steganography was not a modern invention. Hidden meaning inside visible text, symbols, or images appeared across the ancient world, including Egyptian priestly settings. Ptolemaic-era priestly documents outside the Rosetta Stone show that official text could speak to more than one audience at once, making layered communication part of the scribal world these priests already understood. Demotic script was the everyday administrative language of Egypt, but it was not easily accessible to Greek-speaking Ptolemaic officials. A decree written in Demotic could speak directly to Egyptian literate priests, while the Greek reading administration saw only the approved public version. That made the middle section the exact place where motive and opportunity met. AI finding becomes stronger because the variations gather in sections about priestly authority and temple obligations. Those were the exact subjects the priestly authors had reason to protect, strengthen, and emphasize. The pattern does not prove every choice was a secret code, but it fits the political setting better than random scribal variation. Priestly authorship, layered writing traditions, and the AI-detected pattern create the strongest case for intention. But the method behind the discovery has one weakness, and skeptics use it to challenge the entire finding. Neural network pattern recognition can examine ancient text at a scale no human reader can match. It detects statistical anomalies, meaning features that break from the expected habits of a script tradition. Its weakness is intent. AI can show a pattern is unusual, but it cannot decide whether scribes placed it deliberately or whether the training corpus missed a rare convention. Cross-script analysis compared the Demotic and Greek versions of the decree across the full inscription. The strongest divergences appeared in priestly authority sections, not royal authority sections. That asymmetry matters because it was structured and consistent. Comparable Ptolemaic Demotic administrative documents from the same period did not show the same distribution. Multispectral imaging from 2017 added physical support without closing the case. Paint traces, tool mark patterns, and inscription depths showed the stone-held details ordinary viewing had missed. Those features are consistent with careful production of the demotic portion, but physical marks cannot reveal the exact thinking of the scribes who made them. Precise AI result was narrow but important. The demotic text of the Rosetta Stone contains a systematic pattern in its differences from the Greek. The pattern is statistically inconsistent with conventional Ptolemaic administrative demotic practice, concentrated around priestly authority, and remained uncharacterized after 200 years of human study. Interpretive limit sits at the center of the mystery. One reading is intentional encoding for an Egyptian literate audience. Another reading is an advanced priestly scribal convention not fully represented in the training data. Pattern detection alone cannot separate those two possibilities, and that is where the AI finding becomes both powerful and unfinished. The pattern was real enough to challenge the old reading. The next question is why Egyptologists and AI researchers do not agree on what it means. Egyptologists working with the demotic portion of the Rosetta Stone do not deny that the three scripts differ. Researchers connected to tools like the Thesaurus Linguae Egyptiae and the ENCODE project recognize systematic differences between the texts. The real disagreement is narrower, whether those differences form an intentional secondary layer or whether they reflect formal priestly writing habits. Mainstream Egyptological reading gives a cautious explanation. The patterns flagged by AI may come from formal priestly demotic, a special register used in temple and decree settings. Because these texts are rarer than everyday administrative demotic, the AI training base may underrepresent them. In that view, the machine is detecting a real pattern, but possibly misreading its cause. Computational linguistics pushes back on that caution. If the pattern were simply normal priestly demotic, it should appear across other formal priestly documents in the corpus. The AI comparison did not find that same behavior broadly. It marked the pattern as specific to the Rosetta Stone's demotic section, which is why the finding remains difficult to dismiss. Known demotic ambiguities had already been discussed by scholars, such as Dr. John Ray of Cambridge and Dr. Penelope Wilson of Durham. Their work showed that the middle section was not as straightforward as older readings suggested. AI did not invent the problem. It approached the same difficult passages differently and found structure where traditional analysis saw convention. Ithaca proved that AI can outperform experts on ancient Greek inscriptions, but demotic is a harder test. The Greek corpus was large enough to give stronger confidence in anomaly detection. The demotic corpus is smaller, less standardized, and more uneven. That creates the central question: is the AI seeing hidden intent or a missing piece of the training data? Expert disagreement does not erase the pattern. It forces the next question: which explanation best fits all the evidence? Mainstream Egyptology gives the safest explanation for the demotic variations. Under this reading, formal priestly demotic naturally gives more weight to priestly authority, temple rites, and religious language. The AI may have marked the pattern as unusual because its training data underrepresents this rare writing style. In that view, the finding improves demotic studies, but does not prove a hidden code was placed on purpose. Intentional encoding gives the stronger explanation because it fits both the pattern and the historical setting. The demotic section may contain a secondary layer meant for Egyptian literate priests, not a secret message that rejects the decree. It appears to add more force around priestly authority and temple obligations, giving Egyptian readers more than the Greek version gave the Ptolemaic administration. Speculative subversion is the weakest reading. A hidden curse, resistance message, or direct contradiction would require clear demotic content that opposes the known decree. No analysis has produced that. The AI found emphasis, structure, and repeated placement, not open rebellion. The evidence supports rhetorical encoding, not a secret attack against the king. Corpus-wide comparison is the detail that separates normal convention from possible intent. A regular scribal habit should appear in other formal priestly demotic documents from the same period. The AI found the Rosetta Stone behaving differently in the exact sections about priestly authority. That makes pure convention harder to accept on its own. Strongest evidence points to controlled priestly emphasis inside the Memphis Decree. The priests had motive because their power depended on temple privileges. They had opportunity because demotic was not easily read by foreign rulers. The anomaly appears in the right sections, the right script, and the right document, making intentional choice the strongest reading. Intentional encoding best fits the combined evidence. The final question is what that hidden layer was meant to do. Most realistic reading of the AI finding points to the demotic portion as the hidden layer. Egyptian priests used a script many Ptolemaic rulers could not read to place stronger weight on priestly authority, temple obligations, and the benefits the king owed the priestly class. The Greek version carried the decree, but not with the same force. Rosetta Stone translation does not suddenly change. The open content of the Memphis Decree remains the same across the three scripts. The change is in how the object is understood. It was not just three neutral copies of one message. It was one political agreement shaped for different audiences, with demotic doing the most work for the priests. AI detection supports a point historians of Ptolemaic Egypt had already suspected from context. The priests were not passive receivers of royal favor. They were active negotiators, protecting temple power while honoring Ptolemy V. The AI gave that idea direct textual support by showing how the priestly position appears inside the writing itself. Multispectral imaging from 2017 fits the same picture. Tool marks, inscription depth, and physical surface details suggest careful production, especially in the carved sections. A demotic text shaped with deliberate care by priests working apart from Greek language drafters would match the kind of physical attention the imaging revealed. Hidden code here is not a conspiracy. It is a scholarly mystery, a pattern always present in the Rosetta Stone's demotic text, treated for 200 years as scribal convention, then identified by AI as more structured than ordinary convention explains. The strongest reading is intentional rhetorical emphasis, but AI cannot prove the exact thought behind the hand that carved it. AI revealed the pattern, but not the mind behind it. The final question returns to the priest who inscribed the stone 2,200 years ago. AI detection exposed a pattern in the demotic text of the Rosetta Stone that 200 years of human scholarship had not fully defined. The anomaly was systematic, not scattered. It gathered in sections about priestly authority, stood outside known demotic scribal convention, and fit the idea of intentional rhetorical encoding by the priests who wrote the stone. Pattern detection has one hard limit. It can show where structure appears, but it cannot identify the exact audience behind it. The secondary layer may have been meant for Egyptian literate worshippers, reading the decree in temples, for other priests inside a scribal network, or for a future reader the authors somehow expected their wording to reach. British Museum's 3D scan keeps the question open because the stone can still be studied again. Researchers, institutions, and AI systems can analyze the public scan, the inscription depth variations, and the painted layer revealed in 2017. Text-based AI found one pattern, but the physical production of the stone may still hold more. Demotic priests wrote the Memphis Decree in a script their rulers could not read. They emphasized obligations those rulers owed them inside a document meant for temples across Egypt. The precision was quiet enough to remain hidden for more than 2,000 years, yet structured enough for a machine trained on their scribal tradition to detect. Rosetta Stone unlocked hieroglyphics in 1822, but its middle section was not fully exhausted by that breakthrough. 2 centuries later, AI found a pattern inside the very artifact that made decipherment possible. The unanswered question is what the priests knew, what they wanted, and why they shaped the text in a way only future analysis could recognize. AI identified the pattern, but the intention behind it still belongs to the priests who carved the stone. That is the question the Rosetta Stone has been holding for 2,200 years.